Hello, everyone. I am Barbara Dertina, and I'm the founder and CEO of Wellness Matters, You Matter. And today I have a very sensitive topic that I want to speak of, but I think it is so vitally important. It's vitally important to our youth, to the well-being of humanity. And this is happening like crazy. So I woke up this morning, and we all know that, and I don't want to use the word another. I was at a service on Sunday, and the pastor was talking about, it's just another shooting, another group of people. Each person is an individual person. And that's why I have the You Matter part in my business, because I feel that we are at such risk and our children are really at risk. Here's this 18-year-old boy that did this and damaged and hurt so many families, and not just families. He hurt our whole safety and feeling in our country, you know. And so I listened last night and today about people trying to figure out how this came about. What is the ratification? Where did this um, dynamic come from? And of course, we had Sandy Hook, another young person. And I have talked about radicalization, and people do not believe me because I'm dealing with it in a different frame, as 22 million other North Americans are. This is not even speaking about the global population. And that is in regard to parents alienating and radicalizing their children against the other parent. It is epidemic. My mission is to save our children. I couldn't save my daughter, and I truly now, after 19 years, believe that this was the root cause of why my daughter took her life. We all know that suicide is on the rise. Youth cutting themselves, self harm. When I was dealing with this situation, and I come from early childhood education, I see behavior patterns. I saw things happening in a long term marriage, and I thought my children and my daughters were at risk. And I fought in the courts. I fought bringing things to awareness, but no one would listen to me. I felt like I was isolated in a padded room. And at that time, we didn't have internet and support groups and ways of getting our voices out, like TikTok. A great advocate and friend that I've made, Mary Ann Petrie, has a podcast and is doing phenomenal things to create awareness on TikTok. So please follow her, Mary Ann Petrie, because people don't understand what's happening, and children get radicalized very quickly. So as I watch this news report, trying to figure out the dynamics of this young person and how he came to have the beliefs he can, and they talked about radicalization, it's like, well, how can this happen over 2 years? Let me tell you, it can happen over months. It happens so quickly, and children become cult like, and children become cruel. The cruelty is unfreaking believable. Another pillar is that mistruths happen. And so then it is said over and over, to where people that are radicalized believe this as the truth. And they create the history that happened, when those are not even realistic things that happened. And then people become complacent or afraid to get involved. That's happening for our democracy right now. It's happening, about the war in Ukraine. It's like, I can't handle this. I'm overwhelmed. I'm just going to shut everything off. But that allows the radicalization, and we can see that happening in a whole nation of people that don't have access to free information, and it is controlled. So look at that. If you can control massive amounts of people very easily because they have no access to anything else, that is what happens to our children. So this is 10 lives, and I know the impact of losing unexpectedly a life like that. And these beautiful people that went to get bread or dessert for dinner for their family are no longer here. And it sounds like, I had myself have the opportunity to listen to some of the profiles, to know who these people are, that they lived, just like I want people to know my daughter, who in her short 15 years was here on this planet and she's not forgotten. I honor that. I don't want these people to be forgotten. Their stories need to be told. There are 22 million of us dealing with people that have radicalized people against us. Let me tell you some of the stories. Okay, I mentioned my daughter taking her life. I didn't know until recently that she had actually made it known, but she made it known to her predator. She didn't make it known to me. And of course, I'm the targeted parent and I'm the bad person. And I'm trying to help others and use my daughter's life to help save other lives. And I have another daughter, and I had a rocky relationship with her because we were dealing with this false narrative, and you must be loyal to your alienator. And they know how to twist things and turn things and monopolize things. And that's a whole nother talk. You can find lots of talks on that on YouTube. She is 37 years old, and I was there when my grandson was born. I took care of him anytime she needed me, driving over 2 hours at her beck and call to take care of my grandson. And now I'm cut off. And the last time I saw him, he even said, "You're not my grandmother," because that I got cut off when he was 3. And I just pray that he knows and feels. And as other people sat around and listened, or they know that this is going on, nobody does anything. They feed into the lie. So you are trapped like a hostage, because if you say things, people go against you, or they think you're making a big problem, or they think you're imagining this. And so my appeal is, you might be a teacher, you might be a parent of a child's friend. I know of a situation in another state where the mother thinks she's helping the child keep the child who doesn't want to be with the mother, because that child's been radicalized and turned against the mother. Every time she has visitation, her daughter wants to spend the night at the other mother. The mothers, I've seen this, stepmothers and other mothers will take over your child. When my daughter died, another mother went in to my former husband's house where she died while he was home and went through her belongings. I did not even have the opportunity as a mother to go through my daughter's belongings. Another mother got to decide what to keep, what was important, who that person was. Our rights get taken away. Let me tell you a couple of incidents, because our courts are not fair. People don't understand radicalization. They think there's cause or there's abuse, and there is abuse in situations. However, the family court system, I've come to learn from story after story, for people that have been fighting to be a parent to our children, their child. Our children need their parents. They need both parents. It is unnatural for a child to not want to be with a parent. Foster children want to know and find their parent. Children that have been abused want to be with their parent no matter what. Parents that have been incarcerated, their children want them back. Parents that have been addicted are so happy if their parent gets clean and sober, and they're happy to be with them. This is different. They are radicalized. And the behaviors and the counterintuitive on how to de-radicalize and decultify somebody like that is a whole different specialty. And we need more people like that, because just as this boy took all these lives of beautiful people and traveled out of his area to go find random people just to plow down, what's wrong with a human person like that that's only 18 years old? This is what happens, and this is what's happening to us. Let me tell you a couple of the stories. One father recently was fighting for the custody for visitation for his children. Our children need our fathers. Our children need our mothers. And then the judge and the courts finally saw that the mother was making up all this stuff, and she was actually the one causing the problem with the children. So he picked up his children at the police station, his 3 children, so happy. He fought the good fight for years. And the father-in-law comes and shoots him in the car in front of his children. That is the face of parental alienation and radicalization. I just last week heard of a story where a boy radicalized his brother because he was radicalized. And you start to believe this is truth. And he convinced his brother to kill his father. My daughter took her life in her father's home while he was home, and he knew she wanted to do it. And he didn't tell anybody. Didn't tell anybody. So what they were talking about on this show was that you have to get before it happens. Because once somebody is radicalized, to undo it, to have an awakening that this person can change or see that this is not the truth, is a needle in a haystack. The statistics are very low. I'm not a statistic person. I can look it up. You can look it up. So we have to change those behaviors before they happen. And that's my mission, because undoing all of the damage, and we all know that hurt people hurt others. So here I am in my situation in a second generation. It was not enough that her sister died, not enough to turn around and do this again. And her father, I've heard her state from her own mouth, is her hero. Her father is her hero, where her sister died in his house while he was home. And I am the bad person. Wrap your head about that. And now teaching this beautiful little boy, he's afraid to talk to me. I saw the trauma. Our children get traumatized. It goes generational. So some of the parents I have talked to, they married somebody that experienced that in their life already. But now let's face it, divorce was not as popular before. And now it is even more complicated because the numbers of people actually marrying are lower, and over 40% of children are born to parents that have not been married. So I heard in Florida, where I am, that it's 50%. So if you're not getting along, if you don't have these bonds, it is even harder. I just learned of this most amazing woman, and I picked up the clues. She was not stating this, but I picked up the clues that she's being alienated from her granddaughter. Her son passed away, and they had a child. And now that person feels she has no obligation to the biological grandmother and grandparents who took care of her daughter for 5 years to have access to this child. What does that do to this child? What? So what happens to our children? They do what this boy does. That's how gangs got formed. People want community. They want to belong somewhere. So they find something or some ideology to belong to. And when you're trained, not, oh my gosh, that person's bad, or this whole group of people are bad, diversity and disconnection creates huge problems. So people are going to seek something where they belong. It's just human nature. We want to belong. We need to belong to our parents. The rates of suicide, of children with self-harm, of children hurting other children, other people. This is a root core, and this is affecting 22 million people. I understand that 10 lives were lost, and that affects a ripple effect of those 10 people and their families and their relatives and their coworkers. Yes, think of 22 million of us where no one is talking about it because our children are radicalized. It's a problem. And I wanted to use this moment to make you aware, because pay attention. Pay attention to the children. Pay attention to being drawn into thinking somebody is bad or rotten. That could be a false narrative. And I have to tell you that our family law system is perpetuating this. As I've delved into it, because I've been out of the courts for a while, and I felt there was justice. I thought the judge, oh, she was for the children. Oh, And I'll tell you my story another time, or you can contact me because I have written and published a short version of my story. It's got to change because it affects our crime and our murders and our homicides and hurt unloving people. And we don't want to live in a world like that. So thank you for letting me use this moment to hopefully change. If it makes a difference to one person, one child, one family situation, my work here is complete and my heart is warmed because my daughter, I believe, died at this time to bring this message and to pass me a baton to speak out and be a voice for this topic. Thank you so much for listening. And please look into this more radicalization in many areas. Thank you so much.